Dr. Howard, how are you doing?
Well, I'm so glad that I'm anointed. I wouldn't just want to be talented, but I am blessed to be here tonight with you and Sherman. And I gotta ask Sherman, where you from?
I am from Guyana, and I have a question for you about that because I know you minister there.
I have.
So I know, and I have a question about that as once we jump into it. Yes,
I
but
know
I'm.
Guyana well. Matter of fact, my travel agent is from Guyana.
Oh,
And
really?
Guyana is definitely one of my stopping grounds. It was a lot prior to COVID,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know. But I hope to get back to that land because I have a heart for Guyana as well as a lot of other Caribbean countries.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, I wonder what part you've been there." I wanted to ask you about the foods that you've eaten, but yeah, we'll get into it.
Oh,
Absolutely, absolutely. And first, I would like to take the opportunity really to first extend my condolences on behalf of the collab and Sherman and I on the loss of your dear mom.
oh,
And
thank you so much. My mom and I mean, I'm just going to be candid with you all tonight. I don't know how else to be, but I cry every day.
yeah,
And it's only been like a month, and she and I were inseparable, and she has imposed or imparted so much in me, being a great woman of God that she was. And
yeah,
so now I have a responsibility of doing more, like excelling more than what she did, and that's gonna be hard because my
yeah,
mama had it going on.
yeah.
And the Lord told me, because the Lord allowed me, He entrusted me with her. He told me to worship her up to the gates of heaven.
Wow,
And just like
wow,
I'm talking to you all, God entrusted me with that responsibility. And He explained to me that she was favored and that she was going to be with Him. And I had an Elijah and Elisha experience.
wow,
So that mantle has dropped on me.
wow,
God.
wow, wow. Well, I tell you, the I know I've experienced the loss of a mother, and so it's coming up on a year for me. So I know where your heart is, and it is. I know it is broken. We also have an assignment, and we also know who's the keeper of our hearts. So
Hmm.
I'm just leaving that with encouragement in this process as well to you. So we've talked about, before behind the scenes, and I just wanted to publicly, on behalf of Sharon, both of us, just to really give you our sincere condolences
Thank
from
you.
both of
Thank
us
you. That
personally.
That's
that
awesome.
means a lot. That means a lot. And I can't even talk about it long because I may
Okay,
break
we're going
down
to move
Yeah,
over. We're
yeah,
going to
yeah.
move.
We
We're
with
going to
can
you.
move.
shift. We can
We're going
shift.
to move. Well, one of the things we're going to talk about is, I really, where do we start? So we're going to just take a little journey and start really from the beginning of your journey as far as being in the fact that you're on influencers is a
I'm on
testament.
influences.
You are classified as an influencer. Yes, you are.
Oh,
Yes,
hey.
a music industry influencer because of the things that you have done in this music industry, from casting, from broadcasting, you the educational level that you reached to for a PhD, the things that you are doing as far as management, and we just had Titus Showers on last week, and he is such a sweet guy. He is really such a sweet, humble guy, and the things you're doing for fashion and setting the bar so high, and I think it's not even that high yet. You're still soaring.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we really want to talk about that. And so, what really set the fire for you to move in the trajectory of going into the gospel music industry or entertainment industry? Period.
Hmm. It was by accident. Um, I um, I actually come from a very educated family. So all my life, I thought I was going to do medicine. So I went to
Mhm.
school, got undergraduate degree in biology, minor in chemistry, went on further, got another degree, went on to study to be a doctor. Then after that, went on and got a master's degree in business administration. And I honestly thought I was going to be a doctor. My eye doctor left me a practice I was eyes interest me and sports interest me because before I was saved, I used to date professional athletes. I'm gonna keep it real tonight.
Mhm, mhm,
So when I was studying to be a doctor, the eyes excited me because football players get poked,
mhm.
basketball players get poked, and I
Mm,
wanted to be a sports ophthalmologist.
Okay.
mm,
And but I always was in entertainment because from a child I was born crippled. So my mother put me in every exercise she could, from karate to tap dancing to Hawaiian dancing to ballet dancing to horseback riding, so that my legs could look normal after I was operated on to break my legs out and turn them the right way.
Mm,
So then there became an interest in entertainment. So I found myself modeling, and the interest just heightened.
yeah.
And so after all those degrees
Yeah.
and all those loans,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I finally made my way over to entertainment. And everybody said, "Are you cray cray? You've been in
Yeah.
school forever. You done got everybody's degrees, and you're not doing nothing with none of that." And I
mm,
said, "Well, this is the area the Lord has called me in. And entertainment is one of those mountains in the book of Revelation.
Mm,
And I'm an ambassador, and God want to use me foundationally as an apostle
yeah.
mm.
to speak the word and to, be forthright, live holy, and all of that, and set order." And that's how I got there.
Wow. 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 So, in moving forward in this area, you're now coming from an area where, like I said, all these degrees that would have put you in a place, I guess, classified financially stable, to go into an industry that can be very dicey.
Oh, Lord.
Is
Let's
that
just, we're talking about keeping 100. Let's keep it 100.
uncertainty, right? You're talking about like from a quote unquote sure thing, because if you're at a 9 to 5, you're running your own practice, you're doing
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, this is here.
Yeah.
But now kind of pivoting.
Well, I like the word you use, dice it. That's a nice dicey. That's a nice way of saying it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me really be candid.
Mhm.
When God called me and told me to start my business, Faith Management and Talent Casting, I did have some steady income that was coming in. And I remember waking up and saying, well, okay, what am I supposed to do today? Who I'm supposed to talk to?
Yeah.
I don't have a steady salary. I don't have insurance no more. What am I, God? And so I really had to hear from God as to who to talk to on the phone, what job to take, who to call, what move to make, because otherwise homegirl was going to be sitting there broke. And
Mm,
so I experienced up and downs in the industry. You said dicey. There's times my bank account had been sub-zero. I'm just saying.
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
Then
mhm,
yeah.
there were
mhm.
times where I didn't have insurance. I'm just saying. And
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
recall one of the times my bank account was 0,00000. And I said, Lord, you tell me to call my company Faith Management and Talent Casting. What type of faith are you trying to exercise up in me?
Yeah.
You really
Mm,
trying me now, God, because I got bills to pay. And I remember praying, and God said, fast, get on your face, trust me. And I
Mm,
prayed, and I remember at that moment, I came home. There was a fax machine with a fax on there of a copy of a $10,000 check that Sony
mm.
Records was going to pay me. And they just
Wow.
sent the copy to let me know they had overnighted the check. And it was
wow.
at
Mm,
the moment in which I was praying. When I looked at the fax machine, it was the same time on the fax machine as the time I was crying out to God. So
Wow.
this has had
God.
to be a faith walk for me. I don't know when I'm going to make money, how I'm going to make money, who I'm going to make it from. And then I have the responsibility as a manager who's
Yeah.
responsible for making sure my artists work. Now, that's a whole lot of pressure on me,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
in the time of COVID. Folk ain't booking people like that. They're not paying what they used to pay.
Mhm.
Some churches open, some close. They got to separate, so you can't get as many in the building. You don't know if people are going to pay a conference fee. You don't know if they're going to tithe. So then you have these artists who are used to a certain level because they got families,
Yes.
and then they can't eat. So even during this period, it's been, God, what do I do?
Yeah.
How do I move? Where's my
Yeah.
resource? If it's not this way, you need to show me where that stream is, because I gotta survive. And so God started showing me where his hidden streams were. And
Mm.
that's how I've been able to survive through COVID. My artist, Jokia is another one that I manage.
Mhm.
She's like, how are we working on these events during COVID? I said, because I had to go before the Lord and ask God, where are the streams of income?
Yeah. Wow. Wow. You said a mouthful there. And that one thing about going before God and asking him to order the steps of where you were going, and being very cognizant and that you are really hearing his voice. So because even within the gospel and inspirational music industry, you have dice and then you have slippery ice. So that's just, and that's the truth. And the fact that you were able to still allow and still be able to guide your artist into work. And like you said, those hidden streams. I found it interesting because when we had our interview with Titus last week, one of the things he said was, even his number one record, which is the remix with Jermaine Dolly, is number one on Billboard. I said, how are you able to do it? And it was just, no, this is during COVID. We're able to record this. He called up Jermaine Dolly, talked to him, said, hey, let's make this work. However, we're going to make it work. And just in what looks like to be a cover of COVID, there was still ministry that was happening.
Yeah.
And that right there is such a testimony. And that number one, and I think that also comes from the fact that you believe in your artists and the call that they have on their lives.
I wouldn't be working with them if I didn't. See, I made that mistake early on. When I was new to the game and people were calling me up, asking me to manage them, and I didn't know how I was going to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's just keep it real. And I said, well, when you get in the flesh a little bit or whatever. So I made that mistake of not working with somebody that God divinely connected me with or ordered my steps with. And I will never do that again. I don't care how much money they got. I don't care how big their name is. But if God is not hooking us up together, it's a wrap. Because I have to be able to believe in my artists, because as a manager, a booker manager, a branding manager, a tour manager, you have to be able to sell it. And that's just a reality.
Yeah.
And if I know that somebody is living like hell and they don't have a lifestyle that is lined up with the word of God, and they singing the gospel or pretending to sing the gospel, I'm going to have a hard time pushing them. Yeah. So me and the artists that I work with and represent, we all on the same pages. Yeah. We just are. And that's how I'm able to believe in their ministry. We're like family. Like I've been with Dietrich for 30 albums. Yeah. I kick it at his house. He called and asked me, could he preach my mother's funeral? Could he sing at my mother's funeral? He didn't want to charge me a dime. He said he would pay for his own self, because my mother was one of his biggest fans.
Wow.
My mother was in her 80s. Yeah. And he was, but the day of the funeral, he was committed in something else he had been paid for. We couldn't move the date. Yeah. But we have that type of camaraderie and relationship with respect to artists and a representative. And I wouldn't have it any other way. We pray together, we fast together, and my babies, Jokia, and Titus. And I have another group called Last Call in Bermuda, who my heart goes out to, because when this COVID started, because they had a number one hit called Victory.
Yeah, remember that.
Yeah, and they were really beginning to soar. COVID hit, they couldn't get out of Bermuda. Their tour got stopped. They haven't been able to really get here. And for us to push the next project, and it really hurt their ministry. So I'm believing that God is going to redeem the time and breathe on it another type of way and keep their ministry going.
Absolutely.
So
go ahead.
No, I was going to say you touched a lot there on when you mentioned management and relationships and so forth. But one of the questions, Jokia said, Pastor Howard is definitely family. It's a covenant relationship. So, one of the things there is that how do you even know, as like a manager, for instance, right? When does one appointment or one assignment end and the next one begins? Because when you're managing someone, it could be for an extended period, but it could also be for whatever that time frame you're appointed to that person for. So can you touch on that a bit? Because I know, looking at your roster, you've managing, you've done a lot over the years, but
Mhm.
when do you make that that start and
Decision.
stop?
It's
Yeah.
a number of ways in which the decision is made. How could two walk together unless they agree?
Mhm.
What? That's the first.
Okay.
Okay. And when we start getting on different pages or whatever, it's time for us to just let that go. And then the artists, as well as myself, we have to be loyal one to another. In this
Mm,
industry, people try to pitch themselves in between the two of us, and that's bad. They try to get
Yeah.
in the artist's ear. They want to block out the manager, don't want to call the manager to book them
Yeah.
or whatever. And that puts space between the artist and the manager. So
yeah.
if the two can be loyal one to another and appreciate each other's gifts. And this is why I love Jokia and Titus and Dietrich and Last. I love them so much because they know I'm an apostle. They know I'm a minister. They know I'm gifted.
Yeah.
And so they encourage me in what God has called me to do. And that's
Hmm.
rare because usually it's always about the artist.
Yeah.
When I was about to go to Paris to model, Jokia was like, go apostle. I'm rooting for you,
Mhm.
the whole 9 yards. And then Titus actually was a sponsor with the designer. So
Mm,
Wow.
that's rare. That
yeah.
speaks of their personalities and then who they are, who God has made them to
Yeah.
be. And
Yeah.
so when you have those type of people, it makes you want to push them more because they appreciate you and who you are in all facets of life. And then I
That's
just
good.
finished telling Titus record company owner, the CEO, Regina Showers, I said, let me just tell you something. I said, homegirl, I said, when I was gone, that's another mountain in the Bible, the fashion world or whatever. I said, fashion, entertainment, it all goes together because artists got to be branded and their
Mhm.
look. Their
Mhm.
look is very important as to who they're trying to attract, whatever sound they're carrying. It's the look that is symbolic of that. And I
Hmm.
said, the Lord opened it up so another avenue in entertainment, I could get back in. You
Mhm.
feel me on all of that?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
modeled 20 some years ago and I
Yeah.
thought it was over for me.
Hmm.
And so the Lord allowed me to jump back in it again. And so now I can play in that game and be more impactful for the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. 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 So let's talk about, you have a couple of, like, I'll be honest with you, Dr. Howard, we could be talking to you for an hour or more about the things you're doing. But I want to touch particularly on the songwriting because you had something amazing happen this past summer with the songwriters. Um,
Oh, yes, 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 yes. There's a woman by the name of Janice Hall. She's out the DMV area. That's DC, Maryland, Virginia, for those of you all that don't know. And I'm from the DMV. And the song is called the Women's Songwriter Hall of Fame.
mhm,
And it's the first, she's a trendsetter. I told her nobody but God gave her that idea. She wanted to honor women in the music industry who were songwriters and who had worked with songs. And with managers or whatever, we sit in writing sessions, we
mhm,
give opinions on songs,
Hmm.
we're very instrumental and involved in that process.
yeah,
So what happened was she was recognizing some great people. Don
mhm,
Lewis from A Different World. She was a co-writer with that theme song. Naomi Judd
mhm,
was another person. The Carpenters, Climax, Roberta Flack,
yeah,
Denise Williams, Valerie Simpson, all these
Wow.
big icons that when I was a
Yeah.
child, I listened to.
yeah,
And
Hmm.
so somehow the Lord placed me on her heart to be
Wow.
honored.
yeah,
And I was like, wow, because I'm so busy behind the scene pushing everybody else.
yeah,
And the Lord has told me it's now your turn too. I mean, you've been walking with all this stuff, you're full with gifts, and you're not doing nothing with it. So that's why I said I appreciate the artists that I work with because they know it's my time to move out in that stuff. And it's going to help all of us at the end of the day.
Hmm.
yeah,
And
Hmm.
so she said, I want to honor you too. So we had the big ceremony. So I said to her, I'm the only gospel person being honored. I don't want to be selfish with this. And she and I were talking and she loved Jacqueline. And so I called Jacqueline's daddy and
mhm,
Jacqueline and I was like, listen, we want her to be honored as the baby of the group,
yeah,
because Jacqueline is doing phenomenal stuff.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
she is.
And so her father Alan was like, he and I are very tight. I'm very tight to Jacqueline. And so he was like, wow. And so Jacqueline was the other one in the gospel. Everybody else was from the secular world. So then when I was talking to Janice, so she was putting the program together and needed some singers, I said, well, we got to have my babies, Titus and Jokia.
Yeah, yeah. Come on, bring them with you. Yep.
And
Yeah.
Titus had just gotten the #1 Billboard. I was like, we can't overlook him. And then Joe Kim was on her way to a #1.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so they came, and Jokia actually introduced me, and Titus introduced one of those great icons, you know. So they were there with me. So God
Yeah.
had us strategically placed there. We were able to talk to those secular artists, and at the end of everything, we
Wow.
were outside. The Lord told me to pray for them.
Yeah.
So the artists, all of us, we were outside as they were coming out, and we were like, if you want prayer, come get in this circle. And
Mm.
the lady who was there from Climax jumped right on in.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so God, I said to you all, you know, we can't get caught up in the award and forget the assignment.
Mm.
So we on the
Wow.
assignment, and God is opening up these type of doors, just like the
Yeah.
fashion world that I do want to talk about.
Yep.
You know, that's a secular industry. So, but God needs ambassadors. He needs believers. He needs
Yes.
people who are going to walk in the anointing and the glory of God, be on their toes, who's going to talk and the glory come out of their mouths.
Yes.
And they understand that they're on assignment
Yeah.
while God is blessing them and expanding their territory. And so that's what happened with the Women's Songwriters Hall of Fame. And today I was speaking to her. There is going to be a Women's Songwriter Hall of Fame museum. We're going to be inducted in it.
Yes,
Those that
you are.
Wow.
we're being inducted in it because she
Yep.
asked me
Yeah.
today for some artifacts that I wanted to donate. And then in December, she and I have been talking about a workshop series teaching songwriters. So she wants to do something to impart in the younger people who want to be songwriters. And there will be a series of workshops to help women songwriters. So this is the first of its kind.
Yes.
That is absolutely amazing. When you talked about the assignment, I must say something just kind of pierced through me when you say that, you're accepting the awards and you're being, you're getting these accolades, but don't forget the assignment.
Yep.
And that in and of itself is just like, if I could do diamond emojis, I would just be sprinkling diamonds all over the screen, because a lot of times we can get caught up in the accolades and forget that we were sent here. We weren't brought here. We were sent here for a specific purpose. And if we forget the assignment, then the soul that we were supposed to reach for God, we missed the assignment. And it will be given to somebody else.
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
With me in this period I'm in right now, I am really asking God. God is redefining me. I don't know who I am on this realm. Everything about me is assignment driven and purpose driven. So the 8 years I took care of my mom as a caregiver, it was an assignment. I had to follow through the assignment all the way to her transitioning. Even when I tried not to follow it through with during her eulogy, because Dietrich had offered, and I even asked his role manager to do it, God said, no, you have to follow the assignment all the way to the end. And so with that, my purpose for that time period was being her intercessor, her caregiver, speaking life over her, making sure her spiritual component was in place.
Yeah.
And so now I've been asking God to redefine me, because there's some bigger assignments that must be done. And if I move out of the will of God and I move out of the steps of God, I'm going to miss it. And God has shown me that the assignments he have given me, I'm a giver, I'm a server, I'm not selfish. So I know that whoever I'm connected to, it's not just for Veryl Howard. It is for everybody. So like with Titus, who was a sponsor with the fashion show with his fedora hats, I told the record company, I said, listen, I said, with God thrusting me into this fashion industry, I said, this is going to enlighten not only me, but how Titus needs to move with his fedora hats because that's fashion industry.
Yes.
You know how to catapult it.
Yeah.
So your assignment is not just for you, it is to help other people. And I don't want to miss it. I don't want to prematurely jump. I don't want to be where I'm not supposed to be. I don't want to follow no strange fire. I don't want to follow no strange
No.
wind. I don't want to follow no strange voice. I
Yeah.
don't want to follow a Baal prophet. I don't
Yeah.
want to follow a lying prophet. I
Yeah.
don't want to follow some emotionalized sermon. I want to hear from the voice of God, from the throne room of God, to speak my assignment. I have too many people's lives that God has entrusted me with. And
Yeah.
it's very important that I hear from God to even know how to handle them. What
Yeah.
is the next with their ministry?
Yeah.
With me. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? So it gotta be assignment with me.
Yeah. And that goes back to what Sherman's point about when to know when an assignment is finished. And it does not have to be a negative thing, like something happened, bad happened. As much as it is, I was supposed to walk with you this far, but now you have to take it from it's like
Mhm,
passing the baton and
mhm.
knowing in the spirit realm when it's time to pass the baton, and it is that time to do so. I think one of the things there's a consistent rhythm that I'm sensing even through your life and reading your bio. It's intensity, it's tenacity, and you have a drive that really you're not a person who gives up.
I don't. And
And
I get that from my mama. I'm gonna be honest with you. My mom was fighting on her deathbed. And if you only knew her journey of what she endured, I mean, she died in the house. And the Lord told me to breathe on her and pull phlegm out her throat. And I said, God, breathe on her. And he said, yes, breath of life. And when I breathed on her, she came back and to life, and she was out in the ambulance and she didn't even have oxygen, and they kept her out there for like 15 minutes and she was fighting. My mother was a warrior.
yeah.
So I have a warrior spirit about me,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a lot of that from her, and a lot of people don't understand it. I've had to fight for stuff in the natural, not
Mm-hmm.
with
Yeah.
that. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about the manifestation of things in the natural that God has promised me. And I used to ask my assistant, Elder Tara, I said, why do I go through so much?
Mm-hmm.
Why is there so much warfare? Why am I always fighting? And she's seen it over the years. I said, sometimes I just need a break. But I also understand, and I'm not saying this in a cocky way, so I want you to hear me, and I want those that are watching to really hear me in the spirit realm and hear me closely. There is some big stuff. God, I know I'm weird, I know I'm unique, and I know God has breathed on me.
Mm-hmm.
There are some big assignments that God has placed before me,
Wow.
and I know the realms of greatness that he has promised me. It's been prophesied over me over and over and over,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where I didn't want to hear it no more because I wasn't seeing it. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
But there are some serious legacy, earth leaving legacy moves I must make. Y'all hear me clearly. My name will not just be a dash.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this in a cocky manner. I know that God has selected me as an end time remnant, an end time oracle, and an end time prayer warrior, so I don't go with the grain.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'm misunderstood because I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm bold enough to stand firm enough to war for it.
Sherwin, go ahead. I'm full.
Y- Yeah, I mean, and when Patrice was speaking just now and mentioning, looking at what you're doing and looking at your bio and just your life in general. I mean, the one thing, seeing all of that is just, figuring out how does one person accomplish all of this, and you still have so much more to go. But the one thing that was really obvious too is that you're a giver,
Yeah.
right? You live a life of servitude, hand to hand global ministry, and just like you live a life of fortune. You've done so much when it comes to giving, whether it's here, whether it's internationally, what you've been doing. So touch a little bit on that, and when did this desire to be a giver, just to look out for those that can't look
Yeah.
out for themselves, like really came upon you as one of your assignments?
Yeah.
I believe I was born as a giver.
Mm.
Okay.
And what happened was, over the course of years, society and people mishandled that. And
Mm.
so I went from being this happy go lucky giver, 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 looking for it to be reciprocated.
Mm.
Mm.
And I got a rude awakening, even in the body of Christ. So I went to the other end of the spectrum. I had to pray to God to bring me back around to who He designed me to be.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I would not become selfish and callous and not the giving and serving person He has made me to be.
Yeah.
And so after praying and asking God for that, God reminded me of Jesus Christ being the biggest server and
Mm.
the biggest giver.
Yeah.
And if I say I'm a child of God and I've been made in the likeness of His image, then how dare me?
Yeah.
How dare me conform to the ideology of this world, regardless of them appreciating it, taking advantage of it, mishandling it, stepping on it,
Mm.
abusing, sabotaging it? You still must flow as who I designed you to be.
Mm.
So that's just who God called me to be. But the Bible says you reap what you sow. There's a law of reciprocity. So, being that there's a law of reciprocity for all the
Mm.
giving all my life,
Yeah.
there is a return. And I know that
Yeah.
to be true. And I know that I have now stepped in the time period of that, which is why God is opening up doors I thought were never
We're
to be
close.
open
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the philanthropy mentality, God gave me a burden for uh, different places. I would intercede and pray at night for countries I had never been to. And the Lord would tell me, "You're going there." I'm like, "What?"
Mm.
He's like, "You're going there." And so he gave me a burden for those countries. And that's what happened with Guyana. Because, Guyana with the Jim Jones stuff or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
Guyana has a high suicide rate. There's a lot of drug
Mhm.
trafficking. And so
Yeah.
that's why I had such a burden for that land, because intercessory became first before he sent me there.
Mm.
Mm.
My
So the
God.
burden was put in there to be
Yeah.
the philanthropist. And so then he said, hand to hand global ministry,
Mm.
Yeah.
touch, hand to hand. And so we started going not just out the country, but we would go in the country and undergird people. I took a team to Alabama, and we just wanted to undergird a pastor in strife.
Yeah.
And then the prayer warriors materialized. So we took the prayer warriors into regions to pray and to intercede and to undergird the leaders and the pastors against all the witchcraft and warfare and warlocks
God.
and demons
Yeah.
trying to shut down their ministry.
Yeah.
And so that was part of the philanthropy part. And then we would go into other countries and take supplies with us. I would connect with the governmental officials. There's a country that actually gave me a key to the country. That's St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because of the philanthropy work we were doing over there. And then COVID kind of put a halt to all of that.
Yeah.
So I'm praying that that's something that I can get going on a whole nother level and be more impactful. And that's part of this redefinition I was talking to you all about.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That.
No, I mean, I'm listening, like, and I truly see your passion and your desire and just your love for people, and just, for someone that is just on the outside looking in, it's rare. It's something that is to be admired. It's something that you're not doing this for anything, but it's clearly 100% you're doing this because you just have this desire to help on what you've done. And and it's just so amazing to see in it of itself. And speaking of, when you mentioning the giving and what you've done so far, do you feel in a position where, like, God, I'm doing this, I'm doing that? How do you then navigate that to say, okay, what do I need to do more of? What do I need to do less of?
Mm.
How do I kind of restructure? Because I imagine someone like you that is doing so much in a given day with time management and everything else, you're doing a lot. So how do you navigate all of that and still fulfill purpose and maximize your capacity?
Time is precious,
Yeah.
and I've wasted plenty of it in the past. So I asked God, what am I supposed to be doing with this time? And I need to be impactful in it. But what I need is the time. I'm trying to say this in a way I hear the Lord telling me the time needs to work for me.
Mm,
Notice that
Mm.
it
Oh,
needs
wow.
to work
Okay.
for me. And when you hear the timing of God, it works for you. When you step out the timing of God, you're chasing time and chasing
Wow.
things.
Yeah.
And God said, if the time works for you, then you can be more impactful because my time is infinite, even in a millisecond.
Yeah.
mm,
So I can do infinite stuff with you in a time period that would have taken you 100 people's lifespans
mm,
if you allow my time to work for you instead of you dictating the time and chasing the time. So
mm,
he orchestrates my time period. When I am in disarray,
Yeah.
that means that I'm trying to figure out the time and I
mm.
can't move until he speaks the time. That's why I can't work with every artist because they got to understand I'm trying to hear from God
Yeah.
so I could be impactful and the time works for us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That you
That
go
no,
ahead, sir.
no. See, what you said there was so, it was so pivotal what you said there, right? Because I know, from when you're managing and when you're doing, there's this feel as though, like, as an artist, you have to find what is the next thing for them to do. Because even on some of the consulting that we do, is constantly thinking of different strategy and looking at that and figuring out what's this, what's that, opportunities might come. You're like, no, that's not the right one, but you feel as though you still have to keep the person busy. So I think what you said is so critical, is that you have to hear so that you can then be able to lead and do what you're doing. But it's not just doing, because when you start trying to do just to keep this person busy, then you're going to burn yourself out, because you're doing all of this in your own self and in your
Yeah.
own, your own strength. So what you said there, that definitely ministered to even me personally. So that's wow.
And it might not be what they're supposed to be doing. And I've done that before.
Mm.
So I sent somebody
Mm.
to a land they weren't called to at that time.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't ready for it at that time. That was not their assignment at that time. So I have to be very spiritually cognizant of the timing of God. And I remember telling one of my groups I used to manage, I used to manage a rap group called Righteous Riders. Jason Claiborne, the singer, used to be in that group.
Mm.
Mm,
And I called them up and I said, we're going to Germany. I don't know nobody in Germany. And God has spoken to me and shown me the continent of Germany and told me to start interceding because they were going to be going to Germany. Within months, we were in Germany. He had told me the time period. And I told them, I said, y'all get prepared. We're going to Germany. And lo and behold, there was a church. There was a bunch of military people who were assigned to the German base. And they called me up for some artists. And in months, we were in Germany. And so it was the timing of God. So God had already sent the angels to prepare our safe travels, to pave the way. So they would receive us the whole 9 yards. Now, if I had moved when he had not, I had another situation. If I had not moved when he said, it could have been catastrophic. I had another situation, and I hope I'm not getting too deep up on
No,
here.
no, no,
no,
no.
no, no, this is
No.
this is
This
good, this is
I,
good,
I
this
please.
is
I had
yeah.
because some people think I'm weird, crazy, spooky, or whatever. I'm not. I had
You're
another
teaching, go ahead.
situation
Hmm.
where I had to minister in Puerto Rico, and their emblem is the lamb, Isla de Cordero. And the Lord told me who was to drive me to the airport. So the Puerto Rican co-pastor of mine came to my house. He came to my house an hour in advance before I knew. I was still packing. I said, "What are you doing here so early?"
Mm-hmm.
He said, "May I sit and play the congos?" And so he started playing the congos. He was a worshiper,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just playing. And so I stopped packing and came and sat down with him. God said, "Pull out your prophetic pad." I started drawing, and God was just had me drawing prophetically while we were worshiping.
Yeah.
God told us to worship until the gates of the island opened up to let me in. I could not move until the angels opened up the gates for me to be able to step on that land. Because you have territory stuff. You just can't roll up in anybody's territory talking about you getting ready to go in there and preach and you ain't prepared. There's principalities that sit over that region. And God said, I'm going to open up the gateways and you move and go when I tell you to go.
Mm-hmm.
And he was sensitive enough to hear that. And so I left and went when God told me to go. And every move in Puerto Rico, I moved when God told me. Now, I took an armor bearer with me who thought it was a vacation. And the armor bearer was not in tune with the timing of God.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one night, I was up praying all night long before I had to minister in an area. And I saw a pale white horse run across the room. I saw death. And the armor bearer slept the whole time. When we got to the church that next day, the worship leader was a reformed witch. The area was full of witchcraft, and she had been reformed and born again and was the worship leader. But her children had some generational stuff on them. And I was going to a land where churches were not surviving. And it was the timing of God. It could have cost me my life. And I told my armor bearer, you just sit down and enjoy the service because you didn't stay up and intercede with me all night long to prepare for the movement and the timing of God and what God wanted to do. So now you won't be in sync with me and you're going to slow me down from the work and the assignment that he has called for me to do over here.
I'm sitting here just floored, and not from a spooky way at all, as much as it is. Let's just keep it 100. Okay. We're going to keep this show 100 tonight. We always do. But we have less talk about the spiritual warfare in inspirational music, gospel music, whatever you want to call, whatever it's classified. That we talk about assignment. And they talk about assignment as if my assignment was to sing at this gig or at this church or at this arena, whatever. But not understanding it's not the assignment of the appointment of the booking. It's a spiritual assignment that needs preparation.
Yeah.
And I want to know, how is it that many of our gospel music, inspirational music singers, now I'm not saying I don't know, because I'm just asking the question. Okay, I'm just here for the question. Really understand the depth of warfare that takes place when you're going to minister for the kingdom of God. And I think you said something very pivotal. You said your armor bearer was not in preparation spiritually to be able to come alongside you for an assignment that you knew was a spiritual battle that you were entering into. How many gospel and inspirational singers understand before they get there, let me get on my face, because I'm going to be singing for you. And Ephesians 6 is my favorite book. The whole armor of God, your feet being shod with preparation peace, the helmet of salvation, the breastplate, the belt, Ephesians 6 is my chapter in the entire Bible. And the understanding of warfare we don't talk about. We like to sing, and we like to go to the award ceremonies, and we like to say, I mean, we know the industry, so we talk about, who's on Billboard and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, that's really fluff, because the real assignment is, were you prepared to go in and to war for somebody with this music? This is what you're called to do. And it means that you have to have a heart preparation and interceding and praying for the spot before you even get there. Don't just wait. Go and be on point before you get there. Who's that soul? Who are those people? praying for the atmosphere, the angels of God will cover that place. And as you said, open that gate so that they can come in and minister. And I may be, I will tell who I have noticed that with, and not because you have worked with him and and know him well. Dietrich Haddon.
Oh yes, Dietrich is a prayer warrior. He's Dietrich, and Dietrich will call me up and ask me to fast with him. He'll call me up and share, prophetically what God has revealed to him, and that's why he goes through so much. He don't go with the grain either. There's such an anointing on him. He is a prophet, and he has his ears to the voice of the Lord, and he's different. He's unique. He is definitely different. He is not a clone of some other artist. And so with that, his uniqueness, he knows that he's unique, and he's not going to get off of his assignment. And so he goes through a lot of what we've had, all types of warfare while we've been on the road, but we've also seen the hand of God. We've also seen miracles. We've also seen the glory of God. We've seen God do things that we could never imagine. We were in Africa at an event that had almost 1 million people, and Dietrich was ministering, and there were people just getting healed, and so they were coming up on the stage. And so we've seen all of this because of the preparation that went before we got there. So you don't start preparing once you're there.
Yeah.
You prepare the moment God spoke to you that that's your assignment.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of artists go wrong. And when you were saying that question, I was thinking about Saul, and I was thinking about David. David's assignment was to play an instrument that would ward off a demonic tormenting spirit. That was his assignment.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
Now, suppose he went in his flesh. Suppose he went with another agenda. Suppose he went at a time he wasn't supposed to go. His assignment was to play on behalf of Saul, because Saul was being tormented by a demon, because Saul was disobedient with what God had called Saul to do. And I just love God, because even in his disobedience, he sent somebody to tone down that demon. So when these songsters or these worship leaders or these minstrels are being sent, they're sent to places where people are being tormented with suicide thoughts, poverty stricken, COVID trying to rest on their body, cancer. There's a high rise in AIDS now, HIV. I could just go on and on and on. So if they're not true to what God has called them to do, they're not going to release the sound that is needed for that assignment. If David went in another sound, he wouldn't have been able to release the tormenting spirits to bring peace to Saul. So it's so important for the artist to prepare in advance, and it shouldn't be a gig. It shouldn't be another gig.
Yeah.
It has become another gig. It's not ministry no more. So that's the problem.
So, I was going to say, I know we're almost close to the top, but what I wanted, because I wanted to drive that, what you said is very pivotal, because it's not thinking of the assignment as a project, but thinking of it more as ministry. And that, I think, that becomes a mindset that becomes, from teaching from home, is management, from just spiritual covering, just everything in it of itself. But one thing I wanted to also find out from you, right, is how important, a lot of times when people say, surround yourself with the right team, surround yourself with the right team. But for someone like you that is entrusted with so much, and you're leading and guiding so much, literally paving the path for others' futures, how critical is it for you to surround yourself with the right team, with the right individuals, with being like-minded, with who is serving, who is watching your back on a day-to-day? Like, touch a little bit about that importance.
That is so important. Right now, I'm so super sensitive. I told you all, the Lord just entrusted me to worship my mother into the gates of heaven and to walk with her to the gates. I didn't cross over, but I was so close to the gates. And when all of that happened, there was another realm of spiritual sensitivity that got dropped on me. So I'm so sensitive to souls that are standing around me. And I can't be connected to stuff that's not of God, stuff that is tainted, stuff that is
Yeah.
polluted, stuff with a non God agenda. I cannot, because it will become a spirit of distraction and it will get me off of my course. I've been there, done that. I've been there, done that before. You know, you learn after a certain period of time. So it's very crucial to me that whoever I'm walking with, God has assigned me to walk with them and has assigned them to walk with me. And there's a mutual type of thing. Like Jokia said, there's a covenant that is established. Because in this hour, I don't want to miss it. And
Yeah.
being connected to the wrong people at the wrong time can make you miss the blessings that God had for you and what God entrusted you with to do at that time. Now, I want to go back to that fashion stuff. I want to go back there
Yeah.
because all of that was about the timing of God, and how it even came to be was because I was at the place I was supposed to be at the right time. And then the Lord brought the designer. Her name is Therese Marie. The Lord brought the designer into the forefront to see something in me because I was at the right place. I was supposed to be at the right time. And that's how I was able to travel to Paris and Italy and model in Fashion Week. Now, if I had not been true to the assignment, which I was on another assignment at the time. So if I had not been true to the assignment that God had called me to, I would have missed it. I would have missed it. And so you said for timing and seasons, God brought her into my life at this time. Whatever work we got to do together, that's assignment driven.
Wow.
And I'm just thinking about the closeness of that timing, because you're caring for your mom, and you're interceding for her healing. And I just the couple of the clips that you share, very very personal clips on your own Facebook, just singing to her and seeing her response when you're singing her favorite songs, um, and then to have this sort of, um, she's going to she's going to be ushered out, but I've got something else coming, and you need to be prepared for that. And it almost, and if I can say it this way, if you don't mind, it almost seems unfair, because I just have time to grieve the loss of my
Right,
mother.
right,
Let me sit in that for a minute and
right.
process all of that. Despite the spiritual element of that, but there's still that mother-daughter component. My mommy is gone, my mother is
Mm-hmm.
gone.
Mm-hmm.
And let me sit in that. But the fact that I'm because the assignment is so heavy, and we are living in the last moments of time, we do not, I'll let you grieve, but I can't allow you to grieve too long, because there's an
Mm-hmm.
assignment. I need you to move forward into the next thing, because someone else needs to know who I am. And I'm just wondering, did you process that? Like, why, Lord, why I don't, what seemed to be a good opportunity, or sounds like a good opportunity. Did at some point you think, I don't want to do this now. I just really want to sit in this. I want to sit in this valley right now, because I'm just so broken.
Well, I was asked to do it while she was still alive. So my ambivalent disposition was, am I going to do this while she's still alive?
Hmm.
I was being torn. And I had even made arrangements. My aunt told me, I'll watch her while you go and do this opportunity. But God knows everything. So he knew that she wouldn't be with me at that time.
Hmm.
And he also knew that I was going to need that
Hmm.
to help me deal with the pain and the grief. And so it's like I eulogized her. Then the next minute I was preparing to go with Therese to Fashion Week. She had already asked me. She had asked me months before that. And even during the course of her preparing for that, because I had to send my sizes in and everything else, I was like, Lord, I want to be here with my mama.
Hmm.
I want to be here with my mama. And, they literally had to tell me at the hospital, leave, because I was spending the night there. I
Mhm.
was jogging. The devil tried to tell me every way you could. My car kept catching on fire. I was jogging back and forth about 5 miles just to be with her. And I really wanted to be with her. And at the same token, I wanted that opportunity. But I said, well, God, whatever happens, you're gonna work this out. And my aunt came to the forefront and said, I got you. Her, one of her sisters, her ride or die sister,
Yeah.
she's like, I'll take care of her. You just go fulfill that assignment. So it just happens to be that the timing of it, I needed it. I needed to go to Paris. I mean, I cried every day.
Wow.
And to the point where the lady didn't put concealer on my eyes, so I had slight bags I'm trying to get rid of now. But I needed that. I needed a change of atmosphere.
Yeah.
I needed to go feel special. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah.
I needed to mingle and meet new people, and and know that the Lord was entrusting me with new territory. I needed that for me. And if I had not have gone, I probably would have been sulking at home in DC, still grieving. I'm still grieving now.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna be
Yeah.
fake and phony, I'm not gonna do that. But I probably would have been even worse off because I needed that.
Yeah.
And the Lord spoke to me and said, now I'm entrusting you, like I said before, with another mountain. And this fashion industry can be wicked too. Their clothes with demonic emblems in it. People buy it and don't know why they got all this hell breaking loose in their households. So incantations over clothes. And so the Lord connected me with a believer.
Mhm.
She's a believer, Therese Marie, TM Collections. She's a believer, and the Lord connected me with a believer so I can walk with her and intercede for her
Yeah.
and be there for her as He has called her to take over that industry or
Wow.
be impactful in that industry for the kingdom of God. So it was instrumental in helping me feel better.
Got you. Got you. Go ahead, Sherman.
No, I mean, I think you kind of covered on exactly what I was asking in terms of just, the importance of surrounding yourself. And you touched on that, which you said is very pivotal with the space that and the time and the path that you're walking in right now being so sensitive. And I think that's good. That's important for, anyone listening just to understand, like, hey, it's a lot of times when we're making new connections, when we were building business relationships, like let's just continue to take everything before the Lord.
Yeah.
Sometimes we might take those low moments, we might take when the bank account is looking a little dicey. I'm gonna use with this word. When the bank account is looking a little dicey, and
Yeah.
it's coming to the end of the month, you're like, Lord, are you up there? Like, can you fix this for me?
Yeah.
But when things is just high, and and I've done that myself too.
Yeah.
When things is just on 100 and all you're firing and all cylinders and stuff is just happening so good, it's like when that new opportunity comes, sometimes you might just say yes without first speaking to him.
Mm.
Sometimes you might
Mhm.
just say yes. And and a lot of things have been happening even with GMB recently, as far as we were on this massive trajectory, this was happening, this partnership, this, and then all of a sudden, like a wave of attacks just kept
Mhm,
flying in from the left and the right, and
mhm,
this got shut down and this happened, and it was just like, and then in the season of kind of like building back and
Oof.
restructuring, now I'm just like funneling everything through. Like, this is the pit stop right here. Everything is gonna go through, and then it's gonna get to where. And if he checks it and say, "Hey, you think this looks good," but it
mhm,
doesn't look good, then it just stops right
mhm,
here and it drops.
Yeah.
So as
mhm,
you were saying that, like that's so important.
mhm. Well, God never said that we wouldn't have attacks or trials or anything like that because of the precious jewels that He is entrusting us with.
Mm.
But I think about how with Jehoshaphat,
Mhm.
when there was the battle,
Yeah.
and how God moved first, and even their enemies had already defeated themselves
Yeah.
basically
Hmm.
before they got there. So He didn't say that we wouldn't have those battles. It's just how do we go about attacking them?
Mm.
Yeah.
Joshua and the battle of Jericho,
Yeah.
their attack was through shouting
Yeah.
and walking in a formation that was orchestrated by God. There is still a spiritual formation as to how we are to walk with our assignments. Some of us are not walking in the formation he has ordered for us to walk, so the walls ain't tumbling down. So he didn't say that we wouldn't have that level of opposition, but he already said that we're victorious. And that's what we got to keep in our mindset when it comes, and it not become a permanent setback, keeping us from thrusting forward to the next realm of what he has called us to do.
Wow.
You when you made mention about Joshua, and I remember the battle, and remember they needed more time, and he prayed that the Lord would make the sun stand still. And just moments ago, we were talking about that time continuing, that God, even in the millisecond that we think of as millisecond, is infinite time for him. And it's like we know we have a call in our lives. And in that call, we just want to go. We just want to go out the gate. I got a call in my life. I just want to go because I feel I got to go at it. I know I need to do this. I need to do this. But unless you, as you said, and we talked about this, and it seems to be a continuing theme through this interview, is time, the right time, the right place, being prepared for your assignment. And it's just being interwoven throughout this interview with you. And so I think we also need to talk about and share with our independent artists, which is the reason why this platform even exists, is to really bring those influencers and give a platform for independent artists to talk about the deeper things other than just, I got my single out, we're going to have a listening party. But I've said this before about, there's an assignment that needs to be done. And sometimes you did probably look at me sometimes cross-eyed, like, we got to be so spiritually deep. No, when you said yes to Jesus, it became spiritually deep. You cannot go past that. There's no fluff in that, because he understood his assignment through everything. And the enemy you didn't have to worry about demons. Satan himself said, no, I'll take this one because I know who he is. And I used to be with him. I used to hang out with him. And I used to be right there in the light, in that presence of God, the Shekinah glory. And so I know who he is. So I'm going to take this one personally. When we don't understand, as either singers, songwriters who write the music, who write the songs, who write the lyrics, bloggers, I'm going to put everybody into the category of talking about inspirational gospel music. Each of us has the assignment where we are. And if we're not prepared for that assignment, we will find ourselves taken down by every adversity and everything that comes our way. Attacks will come, and we don't talk about that. Why is it that we not talk about that, Apostle? Why is it that we don't talk about the fact that attacks will come? Because is it because we keep getting these itching ear prophetic callings or messages that, your season, and they're dancing about the bag more so are they dancing about the cross? And I just want to get your viewpoint on that.
Well, some folk are just floating through, singing with a carnal mindset. So they may not be under the same level of being a target of somebody who's really trying to do this for the Lord. It's easier to float through and have a life that is, I don't want to say fleshly, but is, even as a singer, where you don't have to go through all that extra persecuting because you're less of a threat to the enemy. So those that are really willing to be the highest level of threat to darkness are going to go through more arrows being shot at them, more spiritual daggers, bombs, all types of machetes, attacks, demonic attacks. And we don't teach about that stuff because a lot of our folks who are the teachers are not living a sacrificial life that's conducive to being able to endure that realm of warfare. If you look at it, we don't even see a lot of deliverance going forth anymore. in the house of God, because in order for a deliverance ministry to flow, you have to live a certain type of lifestyle to cast out demons. Beelzebub can't cast out Beelzebub.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So there's a certain lifestyle that must go along with the ministry assignment or the psalmist assignment. And if you choose not to, then you don't have to worry about the extra drama, the
Mm.
text that come with it. A lot of people take that way. Preachers do too. Let me teach a watered down message. I ain't fasted for 10 days. Let me teach something I taught last year. Let me look at somebody else's sermon and reteach it. Let me prophesy somebody else's prophecy. And instead of going to the throne room and hearing a fresh new word
Yeah.
from God or some fresh waters from God, it's easier to float like that because people are so emotionalized, even in the body of Christ. And they'll take that and won't demand more off of you. So you ain't got to go through as many attacks because you ain't do nothing to even make the devil want to attack you.
Well, I'm going to say, um, I got nothing to say. Sherwin?
Yeah, I mean, I I know we're at the top of the hour here, and I'm just listening to what you were saying, having you tell your story, having you share your heart. You literally have no idea how much you've even helped me. Like Patrice know a lot of some of these stuff that we've been discussing, but just how you've just literally just helped by what you're saying, what
Yeah.
you're sharing, how you've built up, and what you've done just by our interaction. So I just want to just say thank you outside of the interview, just saying thank you for, just being you and just sharing and
Yeah.
being transparent and just being in the spirit. So yeah, for me this was amazing. This was great.
And I have to say, be honest with you, because if Sherwin didn't say it, I knew. I'm sitting here just like, this is not an interview. I feel like you're pouring into me.
Wow.
I,
Yep, that's
I really feel like
exactly
you're
it.
pouring into me.
That's it.
Um, and if I could hug you physically, I would. I
Wow.
just want to thank you so much
Yes.
for taking the time. I know we talked, and you've traveled, and physically just getting your strength back up and your legs going again to get back into play, and onto your assignment. Um, but this was needed. This was so needed. And if for no one else watching tonight, I know that this assignment tonight for this interview, when this thing was scheduled, I'm interviewing an industry influencer, but didn't understand that this assignment was not about the interview. This assignment was for you. And so
Wow.
I'm grateful. This is no smoke. I got nothing to hide. I just really just want to say thank you, seriously. And if you
Wow.
see the comments coming through here, people are just they're in here. They're just in here, and those who will be watching this interview later on, as we keep our interviews up, they're going to just be blessed by this and by
Hmm.
you and by what you have shared tonight. And I want to go back to someone has put a scripture here. Catch
I
pop.
see I see a lot of the comments are my prophetic prayer warriors. I've been looking at the ones that are coming through. They're part of the team.
Yeah.
So they've been with me a long time. And this what I'm talking to you all about, they have seen it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
They've seen that's prophetess Kiana. She actually is a member of my church.
Okay.
Lakeisha has been with me as I've ministered and been one of the intercessors praying. I'm looking at them and they know this to be true. And that's Pastor, is that Pastor? Yeah,
Dr.
Pastor
Linda.
Valinda.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. White.
Yeah, but they know this stuff to be true. And when people are thirsting for more,
Yeah.
they're not afraid of understanding how to be a threat to the kingdom of darkness.
Mm.
They don't want to be the enemy's friend. We
Mm.
got too many enemies' friends up in the camp, in the
Yeah.
house of the Lord. So they understand that they are to be the light on the hill. And then I'm gonna shut up after this. You said your favorite scripture was Ephesians 6,
That chapter, the whole chapter,
the whole chapter.
the whole
When
chapter.
it talks about wrestling not against flesh and
Mhm.
blood, principalities, powers of rulers of darkness, I try to enlighten people and tell them those four different levels are four different levels of the hierarchy in the kingdom of darkness, and they're broken down into subcategories.
Wow, wow.
Those powers have a category. In a subcategory, principalities. If you remember when Daniel was praying,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
angel said that
Yeah.
Lo Michael was coming. Didn't he say that? He said he had to
Mm-hmm.
help him over the king of Persia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a whole principality system that was warring in the spirit
Mm-hmm.
to try to keep from the message
Yeah.
coming to Daniel, so Daniel would get discouraged.
Yeah.
So there's a hierarchy system demonically with that, but there's a hierarchy system angelically.
Yeah.
So if you have powers in the kingdom of darkness, there are powers on the angelic realm
Mm-hmm.
that war in the spirit against those four, the wickedness in high places.
Yeah.
God has his angels that war against wickedness in high places. And when you really get an understanding of that, then you have a better understanding of how the enemy moves and attacks us.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, Apostle Dr. Howard, I'm paying honor to those titles because you earned every last one of them. This has been a tremendous blessing. And like I said, I said, initially we're going to be 25 minutes because I wanted to be respectful of your time. But no, this was totally an assignment, and everybody that's on here is receiving it. And the blessing that I know Sharon and I both are getting right now is just I'm coming back to my own interview and watching this again
Wow.
It's
because
funny you said, sorry, I mean to interrupt you.
no,
Funny you
go.
said that because I'm here writing down so much notes in between, and I'm like, I have to go watch it over again. This is what every time you see me put my head down, that's what I've been doing.
Wow. I
Uh,
just bless God because the supernatural wisdom was prayed for. I prayed like Solomon. I
mm,
asked God to bless me with supernatural wisdom and knowledge and understanding because in the natural, I'm kind of like a dizzy blonde
mm,
and I don't have the most adequate social skills with understanding people
mhm,
and discerning people. I've always thought that people were nicer than they really are.
mm,
And
mm,
so I asked God to give me wisdom and knowledge and understanding. And we know about those gifts in the Bible. That's a gift. And a person can pray for that gift.
yeah.
And so that I believe God has bestowed that upon me to help others become edified and to shift. And I'm not afraid to talk about it and help somebody get unbound because I
Mm,
was bound for so long.
wow, wow. I want to go back to here. Okay, thank you, Tara. Thank you, Tara. Appreciate it. Here we go. How you can get in contact with Apostle Veryl Howard. It's right to book Apostle Howard. It's right there on the screen for preaching conferences, music platform. Contact Minister Tara Smith Hughes 919-2924-2313. Thank you so much for posting. I'm going to leave that up here. And Apostle Howard, I just want to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us tonight. It has been an absolute, blessing.
And
Really, you can
also,
feel my hug from here. Go ahead.
oh, sorry, I was gonna say also real quick, and thanks, Tara, again too, to catch Apostle Howard every Sunday at Matthew 6, 3 Global Ministry at 11 a.m. And how can people catch you? How can people see you at 11? Where is it streamed, Apostle Howard?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't preach on Sundays. The Lord told me to have them preach
Mm.
and have them minister so that the gifts that are inside of them can flourish. I do oversee the service, and I do exhortations or flow prophetically or however God will have me to interject. But when it comes to the word of God, the Lord said to allow the ministers and the pastor to be able to give that word. So every it's on my Facebook page.
There we go.
Okay.
You know, we
Right
put
there,
it
right
on
now.
my Facebook page so people can come join us on Sundays at 11 o'clock. And we go live at 11 o'clock. But I think it's very important as a leader, because when I was, you know, I had these gifts and things inside of me. I had a lot of people trying to shut me down and weren't trying to help me and weren't giving me the liberty to be. I've had microphones turned off on me while I was preaching, you know, and just stifling what God had inside of me. And I became very discouraged. And so I said, one thing I would never do with anybody I see a calling on their life is to try to hold them back from flourishing and escalating in the word of God. Because when you minister, you got to go study if you want to really say what the Lord has told you to say. So on Sundays, they rotate however God says they should speak. I'm not selfish when it comes to, I guess, pulpit, whether it be on Zoom, you feel me?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
refreshing. That's refreshing and
Yeah,
different.
it is. It really is, because I mean, you were rare. You were absolutely rare.
Wow.
Well, you know, other folks, everybody can't be the one in the limelight.
Yeah.
But, you know, in order to help people shift, I'm a midwife. So if you got stuff you got to birth, I got to understand.
Mm.
I'm a midwife. And a midwife doesn't step away from being a midwife
Yeah.
unless God says, okay, take a break right now. I have something else for you to do or whatever. So as a midwife, I'm always cognizant of what somebody has to birth. And I don't want to get in the way and cause an abortion or stillborn baby, or for them to not do what God called them to do. And I know that they are not used to that. The members of the church are not used to that because they come from other churches, you know, so it's a little different for them. But I don't care. You know, you're not going to hear me every Sunday. I want them to achieve the greatness that God has put inside of them. And in the meantime, I've been praying that God open back up the doors since my assignment with my mom now is over, to be able to do more global ministry and to go out and minister, because I'm called to the world. I'm not called to a small group of people, and I know that.
Wow. Wow. Well, Apostle Howard, thank you so
Yes,
much for
thank you.
being with us tonight. It has been an absolute blessing. And I'm going to do something I don't think I've done this before with us on the show like this, but very rarely. But I really feel the need just to have, if you're on here tonight, seriously, please share this. It's going to remain up here. It's going to be on YouTube, but share this message. Go back yourself, take notes, go back and hear what this woman of God is saying, and let the Lord just pour into you and just minister to your heart, because this is so refreshing. And I got a lot of, I being transparent again, I got a lot of praying that I need to do. I really do, about a lot of things. And so I just hope you guys will just take the opportunity to share. And Apostle Howard, thank you so much. We truly, truly were honored to have you here tonight. It's been a blessing.
Thank you for having me.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So to everyone, thank you so much for being here tonight with us, taking the time to hang with us for this hour plus, almost hour and a half. I know the time went by because we were just like in, we were in. I promise you, we were just in. So I mean, if it were another 30 minutes, I wouldn't even care. I would just be in. But I know, you know, being respectful of Apostle Howard's time. So please make sure, I'm going to put her contact information here. Here's her website. And Tara was so kind to put that up here.
I was just gonna shout out Tara. Tara did an amazing job. Tara was just dropping all the links, all the socials, everything.
Yes. So we want to make sure we have the information up for you again. I'm going to post
And don't forget, she forgot to put the info. I always get on her faith management and talent castings information, because I do represent artists. And if you're interested in booking any of our artists, you can
Mhm.
call 910-644-1824. That's important because those are my clients and I want to put them out there as well. So, uh, Elder Tara, if you could put that up, faith management and talent casting,
Mhm.
and that number, that's the number they can call for booking any of the artists that we represent and work with, um, in the music industry. And the fashion designer.
Mhm.
And if you're interested, we didn't even get to the casting with the TV shows and all of
Yeah.
that, but that is the number for all of that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank
I,
you.
we've got. I mean, I don't. If your schedule permits, we have got to have you back. We have got to have you back. So let the Lord decide when that will be.
You can
But please,
pin, sorry, you can pin the information as well to Tara just posted.
she did. She did. There we
Yep,
go.
the
There we go.
artist. Yep.
All right.
So
There
when
we go.
anyone goes back, they can see that too. Thank
Yep.
you, Tara. Thank you.
Thank.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you, Elder Tyra.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, to everyone who's been watching on Facebook and on YouTube, please take the opportunity right now. If you enjoyed and were blessed by tonight's, I'm going to call it what it is, broadcast, please like and share this broadcast tonight. It will be a blessing to others. Follow us on YouTube. If you like this type of our content, just like it and hit that notification bell, and you'll know who's coming up next week. And as a matter of fact, who's coming up on Monday on Movers and Shakers, which is usually on our date. Tonight was a special edition. Will be Morette Brown Clark will be with us this Monday, and we'll be talking with her about her as an influencer and as a woman in the industry as an influencer. And we kicked it off tonight with Apostle Howard. Woo! Lady, the oil is all on you. It is
Amen.
all on you. It's all on you. So, Sharon, do you want to say goodnight to everyone and I'll close out?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining in, for commenting, for encouraging, for sharing. Pastor Howard, once more, thank you. I appreciate you. Truly do. I haven't met you, but I feel like I know you, and I appreciate you. And you definitely have a heart for people. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Indigo Inspire Live, the Movers and Shakers Influencers Edition. And have a great night. And as we always tell you, it's not just a vibe here, baby. It's a whole mood. Have a great night.
Have a great night.